Hello, viewers of Ovin, Horn of Africa. This is our special edition, and today I'm joined by Ambassador Mulu Solomon. Ambassador Mulu Solomon is Ethiopian Ambassador to Germany. And welcome, Ambassador, to our program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much. And let's start with this question. And as a diplomat who spent many years in Ethiopian politics, and how do you decide TPLF, a group which is already labeled as a terrorist by Ethiopian Parliament, and this group is known by its deceptive practices and dominated Ethiopian politics for more than 2 decades? And what do you say on this, Ambassador?
Actually, TPLF, while it was in power, in the central power, also it was the most suppressive and the most corrupt government, and also who was killing and also smuggling the country's money. This government has always been a corrupt government, and also the one which was smuggling the country's money to their individual accounts, to their members' accounts, leaders' accounts, in a specific group. And also after losing the power with strong protest of the country all over the country, where the population was against TPLF, they were forced to leave the country, and Dr. Abiy Ahmed was elected democratically. And since then, while the government was doing a very marvelous job creating reform regarding politics, economics, and what have you, when he took also the Peace Nobel Award and all other very impressive progress of the country, they were not happy to see that. Then they tried to create a lot of problems. They sponsored conflict of ethnicity, religion, what have you, and they were financing conflicts all over the country, and they were putting the country on fire. Even everything was tolerated, and the peace concerns, including the religious groups, the mothers group, and the government, everybody tried to ask them to come to table to discuss and sort out the problems with the government or with anybody they think they have a problem. But unfortunately, they reject all the peace requests, and they went into so much aggression. Not only that, they reject when the election was postponed because of COVID. They also announced that they don't recognize the government, and they have made illegal election without the recognition of the electoral board. All that was tolerated, but finally they attacked our National Defense Force. That was a turning point, actually, and the governments were forced to take law enforcement operation and also to save the country. After that, when they were defeated, they ran away, releasing criminals of about 10,000, and also they destroyed all the infrastructure and killed a lot of people, and they did a lot of criminal and terrorist acts. When the government make a humanitarian ceasefire for the sake of the Tigray people so that they can go to farming and harvesting, again, they use this opportunity for their terrorist acts. They continue aggression to attack Amara and Afar region, as you know. Even at that time, they have done a lot of unacceptable and inhuman actions, like they were terrorists because they were killing civilians, innocent people, destroying infrastructure, looting all the government and also private property from the hospitals, clinics, schools, and what have you. And all that is not enough. They were raping children and women. They were also forcing the small children to be a soldier, and they were forcing the civilians to be shield for their attack. And this was all unacceptable. It's a crime. It's an international crime, and it's against human rights. All what they have done was unacceptable. Even what they did to our National Defense Force was very brutal and cruel. All that was tolerated again for the sake of the people. But when the government make a humanitarian ceasefire, they use that for something wrong. Again, third time, when the government was trying to accept the peace negotiation without any condition, they were procrastinating. They are not going. They give so many reasons and bringing conditions or other actions. Then when the government tried to fulfill all the requirements, which was done by the African Union, assigned a committee, even assigned negotiators, they pretend as if they were coming to negotiation, but finally they went again to the third aggression, where they have intensively fighting the Afar and the Amhara region. And the other people say that those who do not understand properly, or those who do not want to understand properly, they say the war should stop the two parties. But it is the TPLF who started the war. Even the war is in Afar region and Amhara region. It's clear that they have the one who started the war, but trying to confuse or pretend that the Ethiopian government also started is completely unacceptable. But even currently, they were disgracing the African Union, and also they were disgracing the Obasanjo, and also they were saying a lot of things. But finally, this 2-3 days ago, they also again say they are accepting African Union. We don't know if it's a genuine approach or not, but the Ethiopian government is always looking for a peaceful negotiation to end this condition, because Ethiopian government always give priority for the peace of the people. Even what action the government take 2-3 days or 1 week ago is also to safeguard the civilians, to safeguard the livelihood, the peace of the people, and also to keep the national integrity and also the sovereignty of the country.
TPLF terrorist group has been using different tactics and different deceptive tactics to misinform the global community. And in this regard, do you think that the Ethiopian government has done enough job in exposing these terrorist groups?
It's clear that they were using so many false information, fabricated information, deceiving the world in everything they do. Even now, they are the one who is killing, but they are the one who is pretending as if they were killed. They are the one who is raping and doing all the evils of violence against human rights. But they are the one who blame the Ethiopian government and fabricate different films. Remember, their activist Martin Clouds were mentioning that they don't have to need to look for the truth, but to fabricate a news in the like a film, and so that they usually do the same thing. They usually do the same thing. Whenever they do anything, they deceive the world by bringing films which look like truth, and people can be deceived easily. But the Ethiopian government has done its best, its level best to put the truth, and requested the international community to even come and visit Tigray and other places to see by their own selves. But even when the news people and media come to the Tigray region, they make additional film, preparing their own people to play a film again, live film, so that people can be deceived. But nobody really can understand genuinely, even yourself, if you go, it looks like truth, so that they can assign people who act like a victim or do something like that, regardless of so many investigations. But the international community, the challenge at the moment is they have this digital soldiers where they pay a lot, and then they can tweet or they can put it on Facebook, a lot of information or tweets per day, per minute, per second. They make these tweets in a very large quantity, and so many people in thousands and millions can participate. They are all paid. But the government, this is the issue, all the international community, which we were challenging them, were not trying to find the truth and look for the founded information, but whether this is true or false, but they simply disseminate or forward or share what they have on their handset. Even the university professors were confused sometimes. We expect the university professors and the scholars to check and to look for the founded information, but unfortunately, because of the information era, people are not looking for checking the information. They simply forward what's on their handset. That's one challenge. We tried with our diplomacy through the tweet to reverse the situation last time. That was what happened, and we were successful. And also through the diplomatic effort, we have communicated to different parts of the world, the government officials, also regard parliamentarians, think tanks, activists, what have you. That's why things were changing and coming positive. And after that, when the things come positive for Ethiopia and Ethiopia starts peace and progress, again they start the war, because they can't stay without war, because they can't stay without killing other people. That's how they go into war again, while the government went into peace and the relationship with all the international community, high powers, and everything was improving. That's why they are not happy about it. They start war again.
As an ambassador, what you, together with your team, doing in exposing these effective strategy?
Yeah, actually, many people say like this diplomacy is weak, so on and so forth. But this time, I always say now and then, the Ethiopian diplomacy is not weak at any time since we started and even before. I don't mean it doesn't need improvement. Anything, even if it is A, it should be A plus plus plus. We have to work on the improvement. But why Ethiopia is facing such a challenge all over the world at this moment is that Ethiopia have got a strong government who stand for the interest of Ethiopia. Ethiopia have got a diplomatic team which work for the interest of Ethiopia. Otherwise, if Ethiopia was not working, if the Ethiopia leaders were not working for the interest of Ethiopia, there was no war, there is no conflict, nothing would happen, we know. But this is the best time, this is the most incredible, strong time that the Ethiopian government strongly stand for the interest of Ethiopia. That's why all these challenges we are facing. And we are explaining, the way we try to explain is we write press release and also send update notes to each government officials, parliamentarians, think tank, and other communities or NGOs and civil societies, and talk to the influential people, including the parliamentarians of European Union, because Germany have got about 96 seats in European Parliament, and we have a lot of committee chairs and committee presidents in Germany. We also take appointment, and we are successful in talking to most of the committee chairs, influential parliamentarians, and also government officials in the Ministry of Foreign Office of Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, and Ukraine, and Slovak. And I believe that we have played a significant role, that things didn't go far. That was why things were reversed and Ethiopia was coming to peace and improved the re-engagement with all other partners. And that was why the peace condition go, even the World Bank started giving loans and was processing humanitarian aid, and that was why things was improving in re-engaging the international community. But again, the third time, TPLF is not happy whenever Ethiopia is getting in progress, that they have started the war again. They are the one who rejected the peace process and went to war, actually.
When do you think these TPLF theoretically will stop aggression against its own people of Tigray, and even Ethiopian people, Ambassador?
I believe when TPLF will stop, when its own people, TPLF, who are suffering, because Tigray people are Ethiopian people. It's only this terrorist group is creating a problem to the people. When the Tigray people start questioning and standing for their right and stand with the Ethiopian people and try to get out of this problem they are facing because of one terrorist group.
We don't have seen when the international community are condemning and pressurizing these TPLF clique. And what do you say on these? Do you think that the international community are just condemning these TPLF to the extent they should?
Some are condemning clearly, even about the theft of the fuel, which was destined for humanitarian aid, and for thefting, also for taking the food which was destined for humanitarian aid and using it for other purposes. TPLF is using the humanitarian aid for coercion to recruit children soldiers. It is forcing the people, the families, to give their children for soldier, otherwise they cannot get the aid food, and they are using it for ill purpose. They know the international aid. Also, they have hampered this more than 1,000 truck and trailers, which was destined to transport humanitarian aid. And the international community, some of them clearly and directly, has condemned this type of activity, which is against human rights and aggravate violence against human rights. But some of them are blurred in gray, which is not acceptable. Actually, it's also undermining the effort of the Ethiopian government, which the Ethiopian government have gone far for the sake of peace, and where the Ethiopian government has given also allowed unfettered access for humanitarian delivery on tracks, on also flights, but also when the try to rebuild and help them to get a lot of humanitarian support. But all this was not considered, and they are not really appreciating how far the Ethiopian government has gone in preparing the peace process, assigning committee, assigning people to negotiate. All possible was done by the Ethiopian government, but still they try to simply, blurredly, without putting it in black and white, try to say all parties should do this or parties should do this. And we really strongly disagree. One shouldn't put a democratically elected government with this terrorist group, and it's not acceptable. Ethiopian government is trying to negotiate for the sake of the peace of the people. Otherwise, we cannot equate or we cannot consider the terrorist group as on the same footing as the democratically elected government. That is one of the things that the international community should clearly understand and clearly condemn what's going on.
Thank you, Ambassador. And as you know, currently the TPLF has opened the third offensive military and launched military offensive on different fronts against the Ethiopian people, including the Tigray people, as you have said. And how do you describe or how do you see the Ethiopian government response in this regard?
Actually, the Ethiopian government is taking measure because it's the government's responsibility to safeguard the people and also keep the national territorial integrity and sovereignty. It's a must. Otherwise, if the TPLF went to neighboring regions and start the war, and it's the Ethiopian government, it's right and it's legitimate to do so. Otherwise, you know, they are killing civilians, they are looting property, they are also destroying infrastructure, they are keeping their military weapon in schools and church where in the civilian area. The Ethiopian government has warned the people also, including the Tigray people, to stay away from areas where they accumulate military ammunition or military weapons. And the military, the National Defense Force, is very carefully acting and try to segregate the civilian area from the military targets. That's what we are doing. So these people are using the people, the mass of the population by force, even from Afar, Amhara, and Tigray region, mostly from Tigray, and using them as a shield for war, and also using them as a fodder, as cannon fodder. Imagine, because the Ethiopian military defense forces cannot shoot on the civilians, they are pushing in front the civilians cannot go back, they kill them from the back, then people are forced to go to fire, to die, and that is a forced and injustice which is done to the civilians. They are innocent people that they are driving them to war, and that's what is going on. And Ethiopian government is trying its level best to safeguard the civilians, whether they are from Tigray, whether they are forced to be a shield or not, segregating and trying to take action in a clear condition, taking care of the civilian area.
And previously, the TPLF undermined the African Union mandate to lead this conflict to the peace negotiations, and rather wanted an individual figure from other countries to lead this negotiation, and even some Western countries people to negotiate this conflict. But recently it announced that it is readiness to just accept the African Union to negotiate the conflict. And how do you see this situation, Ambassador?
Yeah, actually, we are rejecting the undermining African Union. It has gone far, but we believe, Ethiopian government believe, African problems should be with African solutions, and we believe with African Union. African Union has enough capacity and has the mechanism to handle such any conflict, even serious conflict, to solve. As we have a good culture, and African Union have a mechanism to handle it, and we believe the African Union can sort out such problems and also handle it with care. But the way they try to treat the African Union delegate and African Union mediation is not acceptable. Even though they accept, even finally, after spending so much time and killing and destroying so many property, again tomorrow or after tomorrow, we cannot be sure, because they have been doing such unacceptable things. But even today, tomorrow, whatever the case may be, where we are not against the international community, we accept international community to help us in capacity building, training, technical support, anything we need, anything African Union need as a help. But the mediation should be with African Union, and we want African problems to be handled to get African solutions by Africans. That's why we appreciate and also encourage things can go by African Union. If they undermine African Union, the Ethiopian people, all Africans are not undermining, and we Africans, all of Africans, should stand for the integrity and respect of African Union. It's our union, and it should get respect it deserve. It's we ourselves, all African countries, all of us should stand for it to make sure that African Union, our union, should get the respect it deserves, and it shouldn't be undermined by any terrorist or anybody.
And finally, Ambassador, some Western countries are treating the TPLF as a terrorist group. Are we Tigray is one country or an independent or sovereign country? For instance, you are an ambassador of Ethiopia to Germany, because Ethiopia is a sovereign country. And why they decide Tigray as if it is an independent country? This is my final question, Ambassador.
Actually, most of the international community is not considering TPLF as a country, but some deliberately or by mistake consider Tigray as a country. Those who want Ethiopia to be dismantled and who are teaming up with the terrorist group of Al-Shabaab and TPLF can pretend or can deceive the world, mentioning that Tigray as if it's a different country. But Tigray people and Tigray is one region of Ethiopia. This is clear, and that should be clearly put. But those who try to have this idea to attack Ethiopia or misinform the world by saying Tigray countries. Tigray is one region of Ethiopia. Tigray people are Ethiopian people. We also care for them. That's why the government is taking all these unacceptable ways to save the Tigray people. And others have a mission, but most of them who are genuine do understand what's going on, and those who would like Ethiopia to be stable, because the stability of Ethiopia is important for not only Ethiopia, for the whole, and beyond that also for Africa, even for the world. Ethiopia is the highest peacekeeping troop contributor to the world. And Ethiopia used to be a peaceful country throughout its history, and always stand for the world peace, Africa peace, Ethiopia peace. And it's clear, and those who do not want Ethiopia to stay in peace can say a lot of things which are not acceptable.
And let me give you a chance at the end to give your message to Ethiopian people, Ambassador. You are welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. I can simply say this moment of TPLF aggression to Amhara and Afar people and killing our people, innocent people, and doing so many inhuman activities there, looting their property, burning property, killing people, rape women and children, and also using children for as a soldier, and using mass wave as a shield of war, and also as cannon fodder. All this is totally unacceptable. It's against human rights, should be condemned by the international community and by the Ethiopian people, by all of us, with Tigray, all other regions also. And also I ask the Ethiopian people in general, all of us, Tigray people means Ethiopian people together, should condemn this inhuman activity, this terrorist activity, and also stand together firmly, instead of trying to hesitate and doubt with the propaganda they put on to divide us ethnically, in a religious way, in a territorial way, in different ways. We have to stand as firm as we start standing now. I know I have seen in diaspora now people understand their technique where they want to divide us and to create a problem to the country, to destroy the country, to destabilize the country. Now the Ethiopian people are aware. Now I believe this awareness should continue, and Ethiopian people should stand as they used to be. They win the Battle of Adwa by standing together. It doesn't mean at that time different regions have no problems. They had different leaders were having regional leaders were having different problems, different ideas, different conflict, but they stood together to fight Italian aggression, and then they were defeating Italians. Similarly, TPLF is not alone. TPLF is an agent for those who want Ethiopia to be destabilized, and that is what they are doing. And Ethiopian people should understand the depth of the condition, and we have to stand together and to save our country, to save Tigray people, to save everybody, to save all who are suffering, and unite our ideas, our resources, our positive energy and everything to safeguard our country and to support the government, to help the government so that the government fulfill its responsibility to save our country and make our country peaceful country, and also help the government to peacefully handle the peace process and support the government to go into the national, all-inclusive national dialogue, to sort out our problems on table, to discuss like our culture, to sit around the issue together as one person and bring our ideas, different ideas peacefully and with thorough understanding, genuinely, so that we can save our country. We have only one country and we have to save this country to stay as a society, as a respected Ethiopian. It's our duty as in this era, anybody who exists at this moment, who is alive, is part of the history of Ethiopia at this chapter of critical condition. And we have to be critical thinkers to save our people. We don't have to be deceived by the false propaganda of TPLF and other supporters. We have to listen to our government. We have to listen to those who are supporting Ethiopia. We have a lot of people who are supporting our country. We have a lot of people who are really feeling pain of our country. And I'm sure Ethiopia is always winner, and Ethiopia shall win. Ethiopia stands always with the truth, and the truth shall win. And we have to believe that with our unity and with our decision to sacrifice for the unity and the national integrity and for the sovereignty of our country, the Ethiopian people are ready to lose our lives, to lose anything to save our country. And we have to stand with firm, thorough understanding for each other, care and love for each other. We can save our country, obviously, as far as we stand together. No one can beat Ethiopia if we stand together. And I'm sure we'll stand together. We have started standing together. That's why even yesterday, today, what's happening is happening to save the country. And I believe we have to have this. And I wish Ethiopian people happy Maskal, who celebrate Maskal. And also I wish Ethiopian people, as we went into New Year just recently, I wish to all of us to have a great peace and love, care for each other. And I wish this year is a year of peace, a year of sovereignty and integrity, a year of advancement, a year of success, a year of Ethiopia's greatness, a year of truth, a year of Ethiopian prosperity. And we really appreciate our leaders, our people who have helped Ethiopia to come this far. And I also would like to thank all Ethiopian diaspora all over the world who stand with the Ethiopian truth and have done a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication, commitment in terms of telling the Ethiopian truth, standing for the country's advancement, to save the country. We will continue doing the same. God be with us. Ethiopia shall prevail. Peace be for Ethiopia, for the Africa, for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. TPLF is an agent for those who want to dismantle Ethiopia, is a good message. And Ethiopian Ambassador to German, Ambassador Mulu Solomon, thank you very much for your time and for your analysis.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
This is all about our discussion with Ambassador Mulu Solomon, Ethiopian Ambassador to Germany. And see you next edition. Bye.